Yeah, absolutely. Sincerely Collins, born and raised Phoenix, Arizona. What all do you want to know? Musician, artist. I'm an artist. I make music. I produce. I am an overall curator of all things dope, and that's just what I do. You know.
Yeah, so I'm Chase. Been in Arizona for 5 years now. Um, Played college football at the University of Wisconsin. I'm currently the marketing director for Peak Nutrition out here. And then I also got my MBA at Arizona State. Biracial as well, which helps for this conversation. So, yeah, that's me, though. Yep.
My name is Elise. I work with Gestalt doing motion graphic design, web design, and the social media. And I also VJ with them. A little bit about me.
My name is Ponce de Leon. I'm a musician, I'm a businessman. Originally from LA, I'm now here in AZ. Just building and branding, 100%, 24/7.
Alright, well, I'd like to start off with basically, I don't know if you guys saw today, but in Seattle, they are taking over a small section there to basically protect those that are in this movement. I just wanted to feel about that. You guys even aware of that happening?
I wasn't really aware of it until we spoke about it earlier. But I feel like it's definitely necessary for the simple reason that there's too many instances right now where it's like they're trying to make it seem like police aren't doing what they're doing. They're trying to make it seem like they're not harassing people, accusing people. You know what I'm saying? Like in Arizona, we have the law in Tucson where they just say, what's it, $750 fine, or you get thrown in jail for filming a cop. Like, bro, only reason all this is going on right now is because a cop was just filmed again murdering another person. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we already have a situation where it's at large, but now it's like it's further than that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we gotta be able to film things. We gotta be able to see things like that. It's
Do you all agree that should have their cameras on for one, but also should be able to be filmed at all times?
Yeah, no, I think the thing with the police. Yeah, this is my thing. Is like when you talk about the police and the filming of the police, there's two things that happen there. It's like you've got so Tucson, the example that they use and the reason that they were able to pass that law, they have people who live in Tucson that are making money off of filming the police and harassing them, saying shit that they don't need to say, being completely overt. And it's like those people, like the one person that the case that they brought up that they didn't want to show the video on the news, but they showed it in the courtroom, was 17 times this person has been arrested for harassing the police. That person needs locked the fuck up, simply put. But when you talk about creating a law which is now going to prevent keeping authorities, like just keeping them accountable for what they do, it's like you now gave them, so the way the law is written is they say that the officer has discretion to set the boundary at the crime scene. So if you're here filming and something's going on and there's 3 other officers present, they basically can remove anybody at will, and if you don't leave, you get arrested or a $750 fine or both. So that's where the discretion lies in the officer's hands, and it takes the power out of the way from the people, but the people are the ones who are paying these officers' salaries, and they're the ones who are supposed to hold them accountable. So there's that fine line there between, look, you got to protect the officers because they do need to do their job and they need respect, but you cannot take away that respect being given to the people at the same time because they're paying for those officers to be present in the first place.
It's everything. It's
right.
Everything. And literally everything he just said, if they put that same law in another place, we would not even have a George Floyd situation right now. Because they could have simply been like, all right, all you guys get away with throwing all y'all in jail, we about to kill this man right here. Then it would have been just like that. We would have never known.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly.
But it's
that was already happening in the first place. They would kick people out of the scene or move their seat, and then all of them would huddle around whatever was going on. Them planting.
100%. Year after year after year.
So now they just want more protection because people have cameras at all times. So it's kind of finding out.
I don't understand why their body cams don't like why they even have the option to turn it off. Like it should just turn on when you clock in.
I think body cams should straight up be live streamed. It's 2020. Like, if this is your job, you feel me, and you're going out there, it should be going straight back to somebody else. There's too many people that are literally being killed, going missing. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff that's going on, but no one knows what's going on. And then like you gotta look at my Aubrey, even stuff like that. It took 3 months before that even blew up. 2-3 months before even the world even know about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like so much shit happens that they don't speak on, to the point where like everything needs to be, it damn near need to be digital, straight back to a bank, straight back to someone that has.
And then a whole other aspect of it is like the degree in which they get charged. All right, so we knew that the officer killed George Floyd, but the more and the more and the more and the more that film gets driven into America's head, charges are going up, everybody else is getting arrested. But if we don't have that film, that officer slides, he goes home, all his buddies guard his house, and it's over in a weekend. And it's like, come on. That's the problem.
So
Breonna Taylor's story when it come to life. It's not even the point of them trying to hide it anymore. It's just ignorance. Like the last year, the cop in Dallas, the female walked into the wrong dude's apartment and shot him and killed him and said she thought it was her apartment. How do you walk into the wrong apartment thinking it's your apartment, see a man, and shoot him and kill him? How do you do that? How do you get away with that? How are you not instantly, like, you feel me? How are you not instantly done with? But it just shows like how messed up like the system really is. And that's why it's like it takes all this to happen to be blowing up, and people are wondering like, why are people fighting? Why are people doing this? Like, what do you mean? It's been happening for years and years and years, and it's finally just now being literally like publicized to the point where everybody has no choice at all but to see it.
Straight up. I feel like it all starts with infrastructure. I feel like, you know, the foundation that all these principles and laws and even just the union of cops in general, the foundation in which that was built upon, they're all built upon, you know, camaraderie and secrecy and having each other's back and protecting each other. And it's like a fraternity. You know what I mean? It's like the police union is like a fraternity. And so there's a lot of blind commitment and blind loyalty to things, because you can be programmed. It's so easy to be programmed. And I feel like we should start with, you know, the training programs for these cops, and like, what are they seeing that's triggering these things in themselves to make them fearful of black men when they're in these situations, or not fearful, just trained to kill. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, trained assassins. There's something happening that's triggering these people, and I think that it starts with the infrastructure. And a lot of times it's like, you know, people are riding the cusp of what's happening and what's going on, and trying to put like a Band-Aid on it, but it's like there's something underneath there that's deep down inside there that needs to be looked at, that is not being even really considered right now.
One thing that you, like, I was literally talking about the other day, ranting on Instagram about it, was that like, when you look at, it's cool, they can hear me. When you look at America, like, and especially when you're an African American in America, and when you're biracial in America, it's so much easier to see for some reason. And history in this country is only taught from a white perspective, and it's only taught to support the white perspective. And it's not even at the point now where like our teachers are racist in the sense that they teach us what they've been taught to teach us.
Right.
But what happens is, like, I gave this example the other day. They just took down the Robert E. Lee statue, right? So in 4th grade, I was assigned Civil War leader to study Robert E. Lee. And I studied Robert E. Lee, and I learned everything about Robert E. Lee. And I went and gave a presentation on our Civil War leader, Robert E. Lee. Mm-hmm. And he's just a Confederate, general, no big deal. But his statue's up and things are named after him. And after you learn the truth about him in 4th grade, you live the rest of your life like half my family relates to this dude, and half my family would hate this dude, mm-hmm. and we would be enslaved because of this dude. Right. And then we studied him as a leader, as a very young human in America. What's going on with our education? Why are we teaching it that like these former people that we don't agree with are doing things now? You know, they were doing things that wouldn't be acceptable now, but we're still promoting them as leaders today. That, you know, the people that are on our currency wouldn't support the way we live today. I mean, stuff like that. It's like we got to get out of living in that part of the history. Like, you're not going to go to Germany and see Hitler's statue, but you're going to learn about him, and you're going to learn about what happened, and you're not going to see him standing there. You're not going to see nobody standing like that.
That's why it's so separated, because you see how you just said that we have all like unfortunately we have all those white statues. We have
because this is their country.
Yeah, but even though we built it, even though it was natives and people of color that built majority of the things here, you don't see statues. People don't, like we were talking about the Statue of Liberty the other day. People don't know the truth about the Statue of Liberty. That's not no white lady like that. Come from a black woman. Or the whole mold, the whole body. Like, the truth is so deep underneath. Like, the U.S. soil is crazy because they don't teach you anything. It's literally the history they put out there is nonsense. Like,
we got to remember America's a business. Like, America is the biggest corporation in the world. So what do businesses do when they need to make money? Businesses market. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't even call it a business. It's a game, right?
Well, it's a game. It's a game, but I'm saying America, the first thing you do when you get a birth certificate, nigga, like you are literally, you know what I'm saying? You are literally on contract 100%. As a product of the United States.
No, I said a gang, not a gang.
Oh, a gang.
Gang.
Yeah.
Gang.
So what you saying, I 100% agree with it.
No, 100%.
Yeah, join the gang or get lost, bro.
Straight up. And there's when you have a gang, when you have a corporation who's trying to sell something, because this is all about money. When you have a corporation who's trying to sell something, what do they need to do to sell that? They need to market it. So how do they market it? They market it through straight programming, the same way that they're giving us commercials, the same way that they're giving us advertisements when we're scrolling on Instagram. The same shit. It's programming us to like certain shit. Why would they not be doing that in every aspect of life? You know what I'm saying?
And they are. 100%.
And they are. And we need and people are becoming aware of that. And we need to create the new programming, the deprogramming. I think that's where the system lacks, is the new information and the new programming, as opposed to just the hate of the old programming. Feel me? Like, we need to implement these new things that are actual solutions and come with the solutions in real time. You know what I mean?
Definitely makes sense.
Because otherwise it's gonna be like, yo, we being programmed, we hate the program. 2 months later, the program got us.
But that's 100% why people gotta educate themselves.
Straight
You know what I'm
up.
saying? Like, there's even, I'm not sure, it's probably like 1965 or something, but it's like a book called The Uneducated Negro. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it talks about how we grow up, how we already so competitive, you know what I'm saying? How we grew up on the same court, right? Either I gotta be better than you, or I gotta take you out.
Straight
you feel
up.
me? That's how we think, you know what I'm saying?
Fight or
So it's
flight
like, straight
mentality.
up, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you look back at it like that, it still bounces back to all the same thing, all the same principles, all the same reasons.
Right.
Everything.
I feel that.
What do you think about like police abolition then? Are you in favor? Do you need more information?
Yeah, for more info.
Okay, so I was watching
Police abolition.
police and prison abolition. So I've been watching. There's a YouTube channel called For Harriet, and I've been watching it. Kimberly Foster is the person who runs it, and she talks about police and prison abolition, which is basically, so it's not getting rid of the police altogether all at once, but it's you defund them and you reallocate that funding for social programs that can actually help people of color and everyone, because honestly, if it helps people of color, it helps everyone.
Right.
So putting in more social programming instead of funding police, and then having specialized forces for
I'd say
violent
100%
crime.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because they're taking funding out of education and they're
Yes.
buying cops Teslas.
Yes.
Especially when police are literally, unfortunately, prison and police, like, it got to be 3/4 of the prisoners are blacks and Mexicans.
As I
Straight
said,
up.
the
So,
thing
like,
is, like, I think that's a good idea, because like,
Definitely.
to an extent, I definitely think that having an enforcement is necessary. I am one of those people. I think that you need some people out there like, hey, there's some crazy people out here. You need someone to respond to that. But like, I think at the end of the day, we definitely need to think about, taking those funds and spending them on properly educating both the police and the people the right way. Because there's a lot of things that, like, in a perfect world, You go, you take the money from the police, you educate all your people. You don't need no police because everybody's great, right? But that's not going to work like that.
Yeah.
So my thing is like finding a way to find that balance. I mean, we clearly see it on Instagram every day, how many hours the police are training versus beauticians and massage therapists and dentists and all these other people, they got to do things. So it's like, well, maybe the police need a little more training. That's one thing. But, you know, take that money that we're spending on the force and spend it maybe on like the front side. If you're going to keep spending the same amount of money, just do it the right way. Like,
especially when the money that's funded to the force in the areas that it's funded in, the same money is not funded into nothing else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All these blacks that are getting arrested are arrested in income housing places where there's no resources at all.
Well, yeah.
But it's like,
and I think that's
it's
another
all
thing.
trap.
Kind of what you're talking about too is another thing is like when you talk about property taxes and how they fund education and things like that.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the police forces and you look at education and you look at how all of these disproportionates kind of set up, it's because there's an imbalance in the funding. So like an LAPD, ridiculous amount of funding. So they're like, yeah, you know what, we'll take some funding, we'll put it here because they're still going to do what they do. But with these smaller, they'd be better off taking 150 million and teaching these officers in these neighborhoods how to act.
Exactly.
Because going in and teaching these officers how to act in these neighborhoods is going to do just as much as a positive influence in the classroom. Because when you look at these neighborhoods and how these kids are influenced and why they act the way they act, I know when I was growing up, if I was with my dad's family, all of my black cousins, and we're riding around and the cops pull up, we're out. Because we were up to fucking no good, which is any kid, you know, 13, 15 years old. But at the end of the day, if I'm with my white family, let the cops come over here because they're going to talk to us and then they're going to leave. And it's like, yo, I lived it. But the truth is, in the neighborhoods in which I was with my black family, 9 times out of 10, whatever we were doing was not nearly as bad as what we were doing with my cousins on the other side of the family. And the police would act like we just fucking burned the house down and we were out here shooting cap guns. And it's like, what's the big deal? And so my thing is, if you take this money and you want to spend it properly with the police force and you don't want to defund the cops, spend it so that they know how to act with the people that they actually are dealing with. Because the truth is, they don't know how to go in those neighborhoods and be a role model. They don't know how to go in those neighborhoods and talk to those people. They don't know how to go in those neighborhoods and get to know the people that live in those neighborhoods so that they feel comfortable when the police roll through. Like, come on, man. It's like
communication.
It's like, so today, another thing that happened is I believe it's a union chief in New York City. Need to be true today. Yeah, so he's a New York police union chief. He came out today and was very angry because people are treating him like, treating all police officers like a thug, like an animal. Show me with some respect.
Yeah, I saw that guy.
So, do you think that he might be
I think he's a
feeling
clown.
like a black man now?
Yes.
You know?
Unfortunately,
Yes.
he feels the same thing and he
He
doesn't
feels-
like it. And it's really unfortunate for him right now. That's really all it is.
Exactly. I'm sorry that you have to
Yo, I go out here in the streets every day and I feel like I'm being hunted. Yeah, guess what? Welcome to life. Like,
The point of
what's
it
the big
all.
deal, bro? Like, that's what we've been feeling like. Now you guys don't like it because the world's against you guys because you've been put on camera.
Man, I seen some little meme on Instagram yesterday, and it was just a picture of someone in the car, a cop car up there, and it was like, being white, I never had to sit behind a cop car and think, damn, should I pass it up or should I stay back here?
I might get pulled over from back here.
Thank you, bro. Like, now, and that right there put everything in perception to me. Like, my entire life, and I grew up in West Virginia. It's racist as hell, literally from back to front. So when you think about that, every time you see a cop car, your mindset instantly goes,
Dodge.
snaps into that. Either I'm cuffing back, or I'm trying to get by him, or I'm waiting till this nigga get off so I can get off the highway. Like,
3 days ago, we was in the car and the cop was driving right behind us. What did I do?
oh yeah, I was like, bro, we gotta
Turn
get
off to the
over.
7-Eleven. I wasn't even gonna hesitate. I ain't got no bad place. I ain't have nothing in the car. We just riding. But it's 4 of us.
And
And I'm like,
honest.
nope, we
I
going
done-
straight
I
in the
done been pulled
7-Eleven.
over.
I'm not doing this. He pulls over in the 7-Eleven and waits for us to get back in the whip.
It's like they just be wanting.
It's
you know what
like,
I'm saying?
come on, man. Like,
It's crazy. Listen, I'm telling you, no
programming,
BS, no BS. I got put over one time in West Virginia, and this cop took my ID. I was in the back seat. I wasn't even driving. I was in the back seat with two other black dudes, 2 white girls driving. Took my ID, told me if I had a fake. I'm 24 at the time. Told me I had a fake ID. It had an extra number on it, and he was gonna mail it back to me when he found out it was real. Never got my ID back ever. Told the other black guy he wasn't even in the system. He just gave you your ID. First off, once again, we 3 black guys in the back seat. None of us are driving. Why are we outside of the car? Why are you taking our ID? small stuff, not even small, big stuff like this happens every single
But
day.
they know that you're going to get pulled over again and you're not going to have your ID. So
Exactly, and then they can
Feel me?
arrest you that time.
setting you up for failure.
Messed
I never even looked at it like that, but that's 100% how the game is played. Like it's nuts. It's literally nuts, man. And that's why I'm so happy that everything nowadays is on TV. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why when you see that dude on there, first of all, without saying it, did anybody else look at who was standing behind him when he was up there screaming and yelling? Because there was not one single man of color behind him while he's up there
Never
screaming,
is.
"We're being treated like animals." And I'm like, ain't no black dudes up there saying that because they don't feel the same way.
Exactly. They know what they've been trained to do. And it is. It's not only the white police, it's the police force in general.
Yeah.
And so they've all been conditioned, or I don't know, some of them obviously are raised that way, but they've all been taught to feel the same way.
Minorities are criminals.
And that's
It's America. Minorities are criminals.
That's
Yeah,
right.
no, exactly.
It's that simple.
And so that brings me to another thing. So a lot of these places, like you were saying, it's like basically the rural areas, the places that they're not able to provide. A lot of these people are working so much that they are a little bit agitated when they're getting pulled over, because you know what? I only have 10 minutes to see my family before I either go to my other job or I need to go to bed in order to wake up for my job in the morning. So there's a lot of stuff happening here where if we put money back into those communities and into those families and try and like help the police if we can. A lot of people think that it's over, that we need to restart, but I really think that education could help everybody. I don't know how you guys feel about that. If the police like should be wiped out and restart or reset, or if you guys feel like we should start an education process for all of these people who were past racists who are now better but losing their jobs over it, which I don't think is acceptable, because that's not how they are anymore. You know, like I think we all kind of get conditioned to a certain lifestyle, and we look that way, but then our lives change and we slowly realize, you know, we're all the same. That's how some of us, change, but a lot of us don't.
I feel like the education, definitely, anybody can learn anything from it. You
But it's
literally
how you
take
take it.
somebody that they say has ADHD or whatever and put him in a room with 3 educated people with good energy, and he gonna walk and talk perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? I truly believe that, rather than, you know what I'm saying, putting drugs or whatever the case is. So it's like you could restart it, but at the same time, like it's almost like, I don't want to say it's too late to just be able to teach everyone this thing, because a lot of these people are grown as men. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're kids. Like by the
Over
time you're
40.
21, you're already created. You know what I'm saying? But it's like these people do have to be dealt with in some manner. They do have to learn something, or else they definitely shouldn't be working a job anymore.
And I think a lot of what you're explaining too is just like there's that weird institutionalization, on word there, of what goes on with the police here. Like, you see it, like it's not just the arrests, it's not just what they're getting taught, it's not just the videos that they're watching to understand how to look for crime, but it's how these judges are convicting, and it's how the politicians are voting, and it's how these businesses are hiring, and it's all of these things that you can't educate to change a system in a way,
I
in a
want to
simple
cut
way.
you off real quick,
Yeah.
because I believe it was Reebok or Adidas. One of them just came out and said that all of their job openings, 30% are going to go to African Americans and Latinx. 30% are going to go to African Americans and Latinx. That's how they worded it. I didn't realize the Latinx was, I'd never heard that form, but that's how it was. But so what do you think about even putting that statistic out there? Because you're saying, so only, to me, it's like only 30%.
When all black people wear all of your stuff.
Well, I was going to say the truth. What happens with a lot of these big companies, and what people don't realize, this is what really needs to be woken up, is like, I literally just said this to him the other day. A lot of them, I feel like, go and get negative publicity so that they can make a big donation. But like when you see with these companies, what they love to do is, we're going to hire 30% minority now. And that's great, but the 1% in your company, the people that make the money, the people that are going to be a part of that organization 90 days after you release this statistic, that's not the same people.
Yeah.
And so for them to sit there and say, hey, we're going to hire 30% of our workforce is going to be minorities, and that 30% is going to be found at $15 an hour working at Arizona Mills. That's what's going to be. And then they're going to sit there and say, yeah, 30% of our workforce is African Americans, and they're going to say, yeah, and what's the average income of them compared to everybody else? And they're not going to publish that. They're not going to talk about that.
No.
They're not going to write and say, hey, we're going to have a balance of racial colors in our company on what everybody's paid.
But
They're not
it's
gonna do
crazy that they even
So-
like that's even a thing. Like for me, it's like,
Why not?
how come it's exactly? No, it blows my mind that that's where everybody's heads.
The same
are
as the
at.
businesses that said, oh, we've taken extra measures to clean the business because of coronavirus. Like, weren't you cleaning it before? Like, you almost don't want to go now.
I
You know
saw
what I
the
mean?
notes
Like,
in the bathroom.
yeah,
Like what?
it's like, what are you talking about? You guys weren't cleaning it before? So it's the same thing with these companies. Like, oh, we're going to hire minorities now. It's like, why would you even have to tell us that?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Everybody just, it's the same way. Who was it that just did all the, man, who was it on national TV that they just did all the kneeling down and the prayer and everything?
Oh, with the kente cloths?
And the kente cloths.
Oh, Nancy
You didn't see
Pelosi
that?
in Squad
Oh my God.
got out on stage with kente cloths and
Listen.
took a knee.
All of them.
And
the
named
whole,
old George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. I was like, yo, no,
Listen,
she didn't.
They tried to make a public apology. First off, okay, I get it. You're apologizing to the black people. That don't mean you gotta dress like us. You don't gotta.
You even know where the original kente
Bro, I
cloths
did
came
not
from?
see this.
You know where the original ones came from? That's
so
that's
glad
how
I
you know
didn't
they
see
didn't do
that.
the research. Because the original ones came from people who actually helped to make slavery a thing in the first place.
Oh.
But then they got adopted by us because we was like, it's our shit now. Fuck y'all. Y'all wanted to do this to us. Watch us turn it into our own thing. Like we do with everything.
Right.
It's ours, and then they want to take it, and then they
That
want to
was-
do it this way. And it's that's where that comes from. Go ahead and research it. Everybody
I'm
who's
going
watching can
to.
research it. Because it's one of those
You gotta
things.
look that
That's when
up.
you even see the disrespect right on broad TV. They're trying so
PR
hard to make
stunt
up for stuff
on
that they're
Earth.
making themselves look foolish. It's just stuff like that. Look it up right now.
I
Go ahead.
couldn't even believe they did that. I feel like that was more disrespectful than anything that they could ever even. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man.
Have
That
any of
shit
you
bogus.
guys been out to the protests at all?
I'm staying.
How was it? Like, how did it feel? Did it feel empowering? Did it feel like,
I think it felt good, and like I think everything that's on TV right now is really scary, and it's really important to see that people see police brutality and they see the reality of the situation, but at the same time it's also all that's running. And so I've been a couple days, and both days were super peaceful. I know our local organizers though are working with police, so that is part of the reason why it was so peaceful, which I have mixed feelings about. But
why do you have mixed feelings about it? Do you feel like they shouldn't be working with the police because the police haven't helped them yet or answered
Well, I
any of
don't-
their demands?
I guess it's like, how effective can your movement be if you're working with the people that you are trying to defund?
The people who are oppressing
Like
you.
I don't. So it's good because it's keeping people safer, and they have rules around like, okay, like we're gonna end this at this time, so the cops know, and everyone knows when to go home. So it is
See, that's
safer
kind
for
of-
people.
Yeah, but they should be able to continue to protest even after a certain amount of time. I don't know.
But
like,
I don't know. I'm not an organizer, so I don't want to speak for someone
Yeah.
who's organizing and someone who's part of the movement.
no,
But
absolutely.
that's just my outside perspective.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that? Any of the organizers actually working with the cops even before any changes happened here in a red state in Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think you're wrong working with the cops. Like, it's to say that you're wrong working with the cops is kind of to sit here and say that there's not any good cops. Like,
No,
it's not true.
no, exactly.
But so it's like I think my thing really is just like the biggest problem with all of the protests and as a whole in this country for me right now is the fact that there's opportunists taking advantage of the fact that there's mad people out in the streets, and so they're going out and doing shit that these mad people aren't doing. The protesters aren't necessarily the ones smashing the window. And I think that needs to be recognized. I also think that like a lot of this public record of the arrests and stuff, go look at who's getting arrested. These people are a lot of them out-of-state people that are getting caught, and especially in Minneapolis, mainly out-of-state people, and they released all of that. So you got bricks showing up in piles everywhere.
I saw.
You know, it's like, yo, who dropping off these bricks so that everybody can smash windows when there's supposed to be a peaceful protest today? Doesn't make any sense. So I think that like the biggest thing with this right now is that like people need to not so much be in the media. Like, whether there's a protest going on or not, if you want to know, go.
Yeah.
Stop watching the news, because what you're watching isn't real either way.
Exactly.
Whether you're there or not, like, that's the difference. Because they're going to show you the bad stuff that happened. They're going to show you the one guy who was loud as hell on the megaphone, and you're not going to see the rest of it.
Yeah.
And so what do you really learn from that? Nothing, other than you're sitting there actually just boosting numbers for some company that you actually probably don't even support.
Exactly.
So
no, absolutely.
go.
Everything I would've said.
Yeah, just go. Like, that's what it's all about. Go. If they're helping you, let them help you, because they need to be. That's
Yeah.
what they're supposed to be
That's
doing.
what
If
they're
they're
there
doing
for.
it, then they're
They're
doing what
not-
they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
So-
What do, since all of this started happening, what has your family, have any of your family spoke to you about any of this? Are they keeping an eye on you, making sure you're safe? Are any of them out of state seeing all of this?
My family, I mean, I speak to my family about it. My family just came in here in town for real, but like, I feel like on the East Coast, it looks a whole lot worse. Like he was just saying, it looks a whole lot worse than it really is. Like, there's places people aren't going outside. People, I talked to my boy today in Dallas, and he like, dog, I ain't been nowhere. I'm just going to eat. Like, I'm afraid to go outside. I'm like, bro, I'm in AZ, and people partying, and clubs is open. We drinking, we doing whatever we want. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's crazy to look at those sides of it. You know what I'm saying? Everyone back there looks at it one way, and then over here, it's like completely different world. You know what I mean? But then we also have numbers popping up again today. It said like 20,000 new people in Arizona got corona or whatever. I don't know who the hell tested all these new people with corona, you know what I'm saying? But the numbers that we were just talking about 5 minutes ago somehow managed to poison
Something,
everybody.
yeah.
I don't know where these numbers are.
I talk to family at home. I don't know, like my mom's family, they're like, oh, I think this is all just blown out of proportion. But they're like white Catholic, Italian, German, still status quo white people, I'm gonna be honest. No problems, no hardships, everybody's got good jobs, parents made good money growing up. And then my dad's family's like kind of like the opposite, like very poor African American family. My dad's the youngest of 12 kids, only one to go to school. And their story of what's going on, nobody's got work, pandemic's got everybody broke. But on the flip side of that, that's how it's been anyways. So they're making their money on the streets. They never really had no money. I mean, if you guys want to talk about broke, like Youngstown, 49.7 is our poverty rate.
normal.
Every other person makes $20,000 or less. So when you talk about that, Youngstown ain't never had no economy since steel left. So for my poor African American side of my family that's still in the city of Youngstown, they've been making their money on the streets since before I was born.
That's all they can do.
So for coronavirus to happen, it's like, there ain't nothing happening except the police tripping.
Yeah.
Nothing. Quarantine
So
is
now,
nothing but how we've been living.
They're getting shut down, but in a completely different way than corporate America's are getting shut down, because all of these racial things going on. Now, everybody's getting locked up, getting arrested, going to the prisons, getting sick in the prisons. He has a relative that's in one of the places in Ohio. They're sick as hell. It's like, we know all about this. And so it's like, I talk to them and I get very mixed stories, because like my mom's family, like everything's pretty cool. Like, stuff's like going on, but they haven't been affected. They don't feel like no type of way. Shit, my grandmother's still saying racist shit, but she's been doing that since we was little, because
Yeah, that's just
we're
normal.
related. She likes us, not you guys, just them. You know, those guys over there, I don't want to sit by them. Oh, we look like them, grandma. Oh no, I love you guys. You know, so it's, I'm used to that.
Yeah.
Like, I see that on Facebook every day. So that's my relationship with
That's
my
a
family
crazy
right now.
perspective, bro. Like,
Nobody
real
understands
talk.
that, you know, and that's being biracial is a completely different story during shit like this.
Definitely real.
You get on Facebook and it's like, you got some guy who's like, I've been flying a Confederate flag on my truck since day one. And I'm like, yeah, that's Uncle Rick. He's been doing that. And then it's like, you go over here and it's like your black cousin burning a flag on his page. It's the same flag. Two different family members. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that's nuts.
that's how it's been for me. So I honestly am just trying to distance myself, have good conversations about the present. Don't talk about everything else. Like,
Oh, I
talk about my job and like,
can't
Cars broke or
speak
something,
on
you
the
know?
president, because that's just a whole nother
Yeah, I refuse to get too in depth with what's going on with my family as far as these situations, just because I know there's just so much programming. Like, it's a little bit different with me because I grew up with my grandparents. That's a different generation. And then all my brothers and sisters are actually my aunts and uncles. So they're all a little bit older. So they're a little bit more partial to like the 60s movements and just moments in history like that. So I try to not be too jaded by the opinions and the programming of people around me, because I try to look for those deeper seeds that you don't necessarily see on the surface, that aren't really advertised. You know what I mean? Advertised to the front of the culture. So yeah, I don't talk to my family about any of that shit.
Yeah, because it's safer that way.
Yeah, I want my opinions to be mine. I'm a double Virgo, so like everything is like information to me. Like everything is like technicality and structure, and you know what I mean? So like I want information, I want to dissect it, and I don't want to be emotionally drawn to anything.
No,
You know what I mean?
I'm a Virgo as well, and that's exactly where
Straight
I'm
up.
at.
So you get it. I don't even have to explain it.
She's over here nodding away. I'm like,
So my family, my direct family, my mom and dad are liberal, but white liberals are not without fault in all of this. Like it's still all the same system. But so one of the first days this was happening, I got in a huge argument with my mom, because she was like, I understand this is important, but like I don't agree with the looting and rioting. And I was like, no, that serves a couple of purposes in the media. It serves to divide the cause, and it distracts from what's actually going on. So I'm not going to get mad at the looters, whether or not I would do that. And also, I understand people channeling their rage. They feel like their labor's been stolen from them, which it has, by these big companies. And so going to loot them, how can you be mad at that? And she was like, no, like that's so bad, like blah, blah, blah. And so we like stopped talking, and a couple days later she called me back and she was like, yeah, I'm reading this paper about how to be anti-racist. She's like, I made an Instagram so I can start following Black creators. So that's like the liberal part of my family. And then the conservative part of my family, I just like, we have like a whole family group chat. So I just put when Trump posed in front of the church, because they're Catholic, and he tear gassed the freaking clergyman.
right.
I posted that in the group chat and no one said anything.
Crickets, right?
Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking, but like, I don't know if I want to know.
I don't think you do. Like having my white family just posting. You don't. Like I haven't been on Instagram. And so that's another thing I wanted to bring up, was like people that are attacking others that are being silent. I think that that's kind of naive, because you're not thinking about the way people deal with grief, for one, because some people did feel that a little harshly, but also the people that are just stopping to take in their own information instead of just sharing. Because the first day I saw a lot of really good points, and it was all based on emotion for them. And I'm like, you know what? People need to see this. But then it started getting out of control to where people were just sharing certain things to click on and all of this. So I'm like, okay, hold on. Where's this going? Who's providing you with this information?
People started seeing their opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
To get a piece of the moment.
Yeah, no. The first 2 days it felt so real, but then after you're just seeing everybody jump on.
You know what I mean? But I mean, like, for real though, like not just this. Like, I'm talking about regular ass people. I'm talking about Joe Schmo off the street who decided that this is gonna be his moment.
See, I feel
Instagram boyfriends are freaking, they're having the job of their lives right now.
For celebs, but it's once again, when we have these platforms, it's our duty, especially as African Americans. Like I'm always like, me the type of person, I'm always gonna speak out on shit. Like I don't care, that's just how I am.
Right.
But like when we have these big ass platforms, it's all the shit is going on, and no one wants to say nothing about it. But then a week later, cool for this person, I don't even put names, but you know what I'm saying, it's cool for this person to drop $1 million to this fund, or this. Like, why did it take you a week? You had to wait. Why'd you have to wait for this white man that owned you to say, okay, you can donate to your people now?
It's all reaction based.
Issue, bro.
It's all reaction based, man. Like, I like to move off of tactics. I like to move off of pure factual information. You know what I mean? And
that should be for real.
You know what I mean?
It's unfortunate.
No, that's it. Nobody's looking at statistics anymore. They're just click and share,
Yes.
and hoping that the person they're sharing from did all of the research for them.
And then let's not even get into the fact that you got Instagram and Facebook doing their own policing now, deciding what's fact and what's not.
The algorithm is ridiculous.
And I'm like, yo,
It's a
so for
political
example,
war.
if you post anything on Instagram that has to do with pandemic, it gets flagged. So I have to say, yes, I'm willing to see what is known to be false information, regardless. So it's like, yo, can I like just watch the post and educate myself? Like,
Yeah.
why y'all got to tell me what's right and what's wrong?
Right.
And that's the problem. Is like that everything that we do now, whether you're an artist, you know, whether you're a business, whether you're this, you're that. You gotta go through a rich white man to get that shit on air. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, facts.
Like, it's very rare that that's not the situation.
No, absolutely.
In America, that's that. And that's the best part about business. That's the best part about college athletics. That's the best part about professional athletics. That's the best part about signing with a label if you're a musician. That's the best part about all of this, because they're gonna pay you a percentage of the money that you generated. Just a percentage. And so what you're going to do on Instagram is you're going to go on there and you're going to make you're going to make a percentage of the money that they made off the data you created. And you know, people don't even realize that. You can go on there and run up 500,000 followers and make $1 million a year, and they made $1.5 million off of the stuff you did on there because of the amount of interactions you did. So you got to, people can't remember, like, forget that it's like they're intentionally wanting you to do more in these channels when the shit's viral. Like, when stuff's crazy.
Yup.
They're drawing you in there on purpose. They're gonna make more money off this.
And
the world shuts down, and the top 1% gets $254 billion richer in 1 month. Why? Because we all had to order from Amazon. We all had to stock up on supplies, and we all had to get on our phones and start figuring out what was going on, because that's the only way we could access anything.
Yeah.
They own all of
Yeah,
those
because they
channels.
put us in freaking boxes.
Duh.
Yeah. No.
That's how it's built.
In the time. America's built.
It works like this.
But we have laws. Laws are built to protect certain people and to do the rest of them dirty.
Do any of you guys have children?
I have a 10-year-old daughter.
10. Okay.
10-year-old daughter.
Have you talked to her at all about what's going on?
Yeah, actually I have, and the crazy thing about that is that she's getting a lot of perspective because she's half black and half Mexican. So she's been getting a lot of perspective, you know. She has family who are threatened to be deported at any moment because of the administration that's in office. She has family that is directly affected by police brutality. You know, she looks like both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For real.
So she's definitely learning, understanding, asking questions, trying to figure out what's going on. And I really liked your setup question that you had for this, because I feel like the way children think is probably the way we should be thinking right now. You know, like, they don't really go into anything with any predetermined information because they don't know any better. You know what I mean?
No.
And as far as I'm concerned, I was born into this world in 1989, and there was a lot of years before me of shit that I have no clue about. So I need to gather a lot of information in order to make my educated decisions. And just going back to your last perspective as well, like, it's funny. I feel like the people who, because I took my time with this. Like, you know that I took my time with this because I was actually in Sedona and came back from a trip when all the riots had started and all that, and I had no idea about curfew. I had no idea about any of that stuff. I thought curfew was because of coronavirus. I was like, what the fuck, curfew? And for me, I feel like there's like this perspective of, what's the word? There's like this perspective of different people from different cultures who don't even really have the capacity to take a second to step back and think about why someone else might be thinking another way. You know what I'm saying? Like step out of the emotion for a moment and think about why this person's thinking this way, why this person's thinking this way.
I was just saying, how much does it help you to be able to be around two different races at once? Like, because of your
Straight
daughter,
up.
like, that's the same thing with me and my black and my white family. It's like, yo, neither of y'all have the patience nor the ability to just shut up for a second and realize like what this other
exactly.
person is saying.
Or
That's
what
my
you have in
point.
That, I
common.
feel you on that all day, because that's the thing. Like, even with my son, the situation is like his mother's white, and it's one of those things where I'm like, like even her perspective on the movement, on how she's going about and protesting and the things she's saying, and I'm like, yo, it's not about violence, like, because she's like supporting the movement, but at the same time, one of those people that is angry as hell.
Right.
I'm like, yo, like, that's not like, you know what I mean? And it's weird for me because then I got my mom's family who's like equally angry, but for completely opposite
Completely
side of the
different
argument.
reasons.
And so it's just like crazy.
And no one is like, I mean, okay, people are stupid, but not everyone
that
is
dumb.
stupid
Yeah, they're not blind
to where
yeah.
to where they can really have that much of a difference of opinion. Like some people can, like a lot of people do, but if some people, it's like that Joyner Lucas video where they just arguing, the white dude and the
I'm
black
not
dude.
racist.
Yeah, I'm not racist. They just arguing, and then by the end of it, they just like, damn, this argument got so deep that I get what the fuck you saying now. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
like damn, and like I feel like
That's what today is. Though,
that's what
low-key,
today
like,
is, but it's like the sitting down is so hard.
Nobody
like
wants to do it.
The
But it's
listening,
so
the listening is so
necessary.
hard. Everybody's
Because
been so hurt.
it's hard
Everybody
not
needs to
to.
be heard. Everybody needs to be heard, and this is their moment of opportunity to be heard. But maybe not even for something they.
You know what's sad is truthfully, a lot of what they're pushing right now with the movement is like, we want to be heard. Like, no, what we want y'all to do is like pay attention.
Yeah,
that's
straight
what we
up.
want y'all to do. Like, we've been saying it. We're tired of talking. Like,
Yeah,
there ain't
we've
nothing to
been
listen to
saying
at
it,
this
bro.
point.
That's why
just
there's
open your
action.
fucking
That's
eyes.
why everyone's acting right
yeah,
now.
that's why everyone's blowing up. That's
we
like,
say this
yeah.
stuff, and it's crazy. Y'all could look up. We I was saying this the other day, 20, 30 years ago. Everything we talking about, Pac mentioned everything.
Straight up.
Bro, we literally
Everything
watch.
talking
So if
about.
you watch Hip Hop Evolution,
Everything.
the evolution of hip hop on
Right.
Netflix, they got an episode about Pac, and I mean, like, bro we sat there
literally-
the other night and was like,
Y'all like my favorite
this
artist.
could be
all the time,
live
like,
right now. He could be live on TV
What's
right now
going
talking
on?
about the same stuff.
Straight up.
It's just
30
nuts,
years
and that's
ago.
how it shows, like how history keeps repeating itself, and that's why it shows once again, like
What's
there's
your,
no
what's
more
your
time
last
to
song
ask.
called?
And
What's your last song called?
which one?
1967.
1967.
Because
Just all
in
about this.
1967, in June, they started riots for the exact same.
Oh man,
Lost a ladder.
that scared everybody.
Riot.
Sorry, covered. But in '67, in June,
Yeah.
they had the riots, and that's why he made his song. 'Cause it's the
67,
same thing going on right now.
159 riots, June and July of 1967.
Yeah.
Our riots started right before June of 2020. You know what I'm saying? These shits is gonna go on in July,
been
guaranteed. 159 riots, bro. This is all happening 100%.
But so with
It's a
that
pattern.
being
It's
said,
time
do
for
you
this
think that it's
happen.
time to
It's-
kind of stop the rioting and maybe gather everybody together to have group discussions?
Ask the rest
I
of
mean,
the world.
all of these
The
people,
rest of the world is marching. Ask the
you know,
like,
no,
it's at
that's
the
what
point
I mean.
where the
Like
rest of
in
the world's
Europe,
like, yo.
they're all like
I don't
literally
think they're
having
ready
one
to-
person get up on there and actually talk. We need to do that here.
I don't think
and
they're
do
ready for that here to sit
Dude,
down and be
but how
like-
are we supposed to say that they're not? We don't think they're ready. That's the problem. Is think. That's
They're
the
not.
word. It's,
Nobody's thinking right
you
now
know
because
what?
it's
But
past
maybe
that.
It's
they're-
all emotion.
It's all that.
It is. It's all emotion. But so it might take a couple of people just to get together and try.
Have you
Like,
ever
that's-
had somebody come and tell you that one of your family traditions is improper?
Oh, everything about
But
me
how much
is
does that make you
improper.
feel? But how does that make you feel when someone comes to you and says something that you've loved to do your whole life is not the way to do it?
Oh, super
You're
upset.
pissed.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's wrong right
absolutely.
now. They're not like gonna.
No,
they don't want to
but
give that
then
up.
I can no, exactly.
They're not,
but
like-
I still listen. And so maybe we won't change everybody.
But you
it's
grew up
about
seeing both
changing-
sides of the argument. How many other people
Exactly.
do you know that have had that same
Dude,
luxury?
nobody.
That's
So you're
the
right.
thing.
No, you are completely right. My uncle will always
That's why you
want
can listen.
people to
You had
of
to. You
color
had no
to
choice. If
pass
you wanted to
away.
go and hang out with your white family and fit
Yeah,
in,
no,
and
you're
then go and hang out
right.
with your black family and fit in,
I've
you got to shut
never
up
thought of
and
it
pay
that way.
attention and learn how to fit in.
Yeah.
That's
See,
why.
I was good. Where I'm from, there
That's
was
why.
legit race fights. Black, white, high school, middle school. I'm talking about 100 blacks, 100 whites. Like, so there's no, I could never even see both sides. My side is clear
Like
as
this,
day.
like me and him,
Like,
best friends, right?
Yeah.
In high school, I'm too whitewashed to hang out with him.
Exactly.
Yeah, straight up.
And I'm too black to hang out with her because her dad's
Yes,
been pissed.
Because if you have a
So
sleepover, what happens
that's
to
what
me
would
is
happen.
they
That's
think
exactly
that you're
how it would be
stealing.
back
Like,
then, and that's how we were treated. And then so that's why you grew up learning how to navigate
You
it.
got
Yeah.
4 different people here at this table, 4 different perceptions.
Straight
but
up.
everyone has experienced the same exact shit. And that's how you see that it's all real. There's no
But so
denying it,
maybe
no
a
lie.
group of mixed people in the thousands can try and talk to these people.
They all
and,
gonna be mixed
and
eventually.
make
That's
a
what they don't
difference.
realize.
Well, that's what they do
We're the super
realize. No,
species.
you don't understand. They do realize that, and they don't want that to happen. because that gets rid of a whole race.
I
That's
know.
that's one of the things that they're trying to stop here is that. But it's important because then you do see both sides. But so I wanted to. Have you talked to your son about it? I know he's pretty young,
No.
but he's not even
No, we're not
aware of
talking.
anything.
We don't even know
right?
what's going on.
My daughter the other day, she's 3, but she's like, I love everybody. Why does everybody love everybody? I'm like, well, actually they don't, but it's okay to continue to have that love and understand that some people aren't going to get along, but you can still love them and see the good in them and not freaking take from them and take from their family because you have some type of narrative already planted in your brain about them. But
That's why it's so important to educate the youth. Right there, you just said your daughter came to you. That's all. Like it's been said way too many times. Like racism isn't just, you know what I'm saying. You're not born like that. Shit's acquired. It's taught. You know what I mean? Like 100%.
The fear is taught.
Yeah, it's literally the fear. Like he said earlier, what makes them think this way? What makes them think, oh, this black guy gonna walk by me, gonna shoot me? Like the fear is taught. Like they're not just born like, you know what I'm saying?
Straight up.
It's crazy.
And we're the new kids. Like we had the opportunity to learn these things, but we now have the opportunity to teach our children because we were brought into a society where programming is just part of the culture, right? But we have an opportunity to not deprogram. Deprogramming is what we need because we're in it, because we were born into that. But it's a non-programming that our kids get from us and our deprogramming, and that's what's going to change the world is the not getting to them in the first place. And that's what this is starting right now.
And that's what Steve Kerr put out a quote the other day. And what he said was that what everybody's failing to realize right now is you have the most educated generation who's willing and fed up with what's been going on.
Right.
And so he's like, with the access to what everyone has access to right now, with as much as they're willing to change what's going on, as much as they're fed up with what's been going on, like it's just a matter of time. Y'all just wait. Like they're not gonna let this go. Right. And that's the thing I love about like leaders like Steve Kerr, who's from the older generation, but supports what we do now. My mother's very similar to that mindset, and it's like those are the ones that are like, yeah, man, we're ready to hire like a millennial. We want to hire one of you guys and let you lead our company because y'all know stuff we don't. We're blind to. Like my mom's one of those, but that's so rare in that generation.
No.
But that's the thing that you're saying is we do have that we are that. I mean, when you look at the next 20 years, we're all going to be leading this country. Like the president's going to be from our generation. So we've got to start realizing that we do have the ability to change the schools, to change how we teach our kids, to how we treat each other. You know, to having discussions like this. It's all necessary.
Yeah, we're evolving. This is nothing but a moment in time of our evolution of being separated and getting back to unity. You know what I mean? Like we're all one thing, but we all wanted to experience separation, and we're getting back into unity. And this is just a piece of the puzzle. It's just part of the process, in my opinion.
No, absolutely.
I feel blessed to be able to even be living in this generation, to be a part of it. Be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, what I'm gonna do? Like, just come live after this generation where everything's just peachy. Like, I wanna be in this shit. Like, I wanna be in this shit, and I wanna make a difference. You know?
No, absolutely. But so, what do you think that we can do for our Black community, for our future generations, in order to keep them on the right track?
Education. I mean, just need the right. I mean, the same way. I mean, I guess to mention the Black Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, it's not educated. People aren't taught about this. But the same way we had before educated Black people to the point where we had our own hospitals, we had our own banks, we had our own grocery store, we had everything. You know what I'm saying? It literally is gonna take that same type of status of people to come together, whether it's color, whether it's a group of, you know what I'm saying, different people, whether it's all Blacks, but it's gonna take a strong ass group of people to basically recreate everything. You know what I'm saying? To the point where if it's another Black Wall Street, or if it's just these Black people creating businesses or banks or whatever, it's gonna take that.
Well, and the thing is,
right now we have nothing.
Right, and a lot of what you're talking about to me is like when we watched that documentary the other night, and there's Tupac's on there, and you know, and you see all the Black Panther stuff, and like there's things from the generation before us that they were very strong and pro-Black in ways that we're not anymore. And I'm not sitting here saying that we need to take the nasty ways that they showed that, but we need to go back and research and realize that like what they believed in was proper. How they displayed it might not have been the best way all the time. And we need to get that strength in ourselves back because, like I explained earlier today, we grew up in America not home in ourselves because we learned a white history in a white country from white people who wrote these books for themselves. And if you go anywhere else in the world, the reason that I learned this, I studied Portuguese, I went to Brazil, I learned American history from the Brazilian perspective. Not the same story. So you learn about these wars and how they happened and who died, and who won, and how the events went.
And you realize
when
what
events
really
took
actually
place.
happened.
And you learn it from a different perspective and how it favors them because it's written in their perspective. Then you start to like, oh, you know what? And then you go watch the Brazilian news about what's going on in America. But then you watch CNN and you're like, wait a minute. And so, like, what I'm trying to say is that with the black culture, the problem right now is that everything that's black culture is informed improperly. Everything that's pushed to the media is the stuff that's not important.
It's because we don't own the culture.
We don't own the culture. And so what I'm saying is we got to get back to the point where we believe in the things that we have that are natural strengths that we are good at, that we command respect in. The reason that we call ourselves kings and queens, because we come from that. But the thing is that we got to display that and live that and be that. You know what I mean? We can't just sit here and be what they want us to be. We've got to actually empower
But it's
each
so
other.
unfortunate because unfortunately, they act out because that's who's paying the money.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, everyone
Yeah.
that wants to live that, be that, and do that.
But so like athletes are the same way. Think about it like this. Athletes are the same way. So the reason that we all sell ourselves to go work for them to get the paycheck is because we're not willing to sit down and grind for years with our people to get to the point where we have our own thing. So when you look at college athletics,
Why, though?
if you started, so like let me explain it like this. Russell Wilson, I played with Russell Wilson, right? Outstanding athlete, everybody knows who he is. Russell Wilson graduates from the University of Wisconsin, doesn't sign with Nike, doesn't sign with Adidas. Creates his own brand,
Straight up.
hires his own people, and does the same things he does professionally in sports. He now owns 100% of what he created, and he can now employ that same power into the other people. But instead, what did he do was he took the recognition publicly because that was more important to him than building up his people. That's where a lot of us are different than that. We're going to consistently grind with our people to create what we know we deserve because we need to get there one day. And it's not necessarily about that we get there, but maybe my son will get there, or maybe his son will get there. But the truth is, we've got to be willing to put in the time because we missed out on a couple hundred years. And we actually are the best versions of what was left behind from a couple hundred years ago. We were bred to be the best versions of that. So Black Americans are the best in a way, but we've got to be willing to put in the work and get there together because we're selling ourselves to them just to get the check and the publicity today.
I think going back, I know I'm saying a lot about programming, but that's my message today. Like, I think that a lot of what you're saying comes from that programming because there's a certain mentality, and I know this because as a black man who I feel like has a lot of different perspectives growing up in motherfucking Chandler, Arizona, around white people. You know what I'm saying? Like, as that black person growing up under military grandfather who was brought up by white people telling him what to do for 30 years in the military, as that person I have a little bit of a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And for me, the programming, it goes so deep because they're harnessing our emotions, and they're able to harness our emotions in so many ways. One of the ways that our emotions are able to be harnessed is in the time that we feel we even have to spend on things. Like, why doesn't Russell Wilson start whatever his company before he signs with Adidas, Nike, Puma, whatever? Like, what's the root of that? Like, why? Like, why do we all think like that? Why is a big baller brand crazy? Why is that a crazy idea for a black man to come in and be like, yo, I got 3 sons and we're gonna start our own brand and blah 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 blah, and the whole world is against them? That sounds like the craziest idea in the world.
It's not taught.
Is it? Like,
we just not, like you said, we just programmed to go get this 9 to 5.
We're programmed to be like that. That's we can't do that. Like, we gotta go to Nike. We gotta go to this. But that's that time shit.
We
that's
live on that on-demand society.
Exactly.
Everybody wants what they want and they want it now. Whether it's Netflix or shoes or a contract deal or whatever.
I know for a fact that my white friends are taught in a way to where they feel like they have longevity that I wasn't built to feel like I had.
Facts.
We wasn't supposed to make it past 25. Jokes on you, we still alive.
Facts.
Like, that's how black people really feel in America. Like, we ain't supposed to make it past 25.
Gotta get rich young.
I gotta get
Facts.
old.
Gotta get it
Sorry,
now.
I'm hitting the table.
Yeah.
But
Nah,
you know
that's
what
a
I'm
real
saying,
way to
though?
look at
You know
it.
what I'm saying, though?
Straight up.
Like that's
We don't know
part
how
of the
long
problem
we're
is
gonna live.
that we have this mentality of, you know, we've been programmed to feel like we ain't got much time. We have a fight or flight mentality, and that comes from slavery, that comes from oppression, and that comes from them feeding it right back to us. So we feel it over and over and over and over and over again.
You're right.
You know what I mean? So it's
I
like
definitely relate.
the programming
definitely-
is just what I feel like is the core issue, and how we can really start to make these changes and differences.
You're absolutely correct. 'Cause
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
everything you're explaining. It's like, yo, it's like exactly explaining why, like, throughout my collegiate years, you know, I'm in grad school, I'm in playing college football, and I was getting 2 degrees while I was playing college football, and like everybody was like, man, why you hang with primarily white people? And I'm like, because I'm thinking about longevity, motherfuckers, and y'all ain't. Y'all niggas trying to make money right now, and I'm about to make money the rest of my fucking life. And that's what happened. And then it got to the point where now I'm 28. I'm hanging around other dudes of color who have shit and long-term goals, and it makes
Think about this though.
It makes
what
sense
if,
now.
What if the capacity of you being able to think that came from your white side?
No, it definitely did. That's what I'm saying. It's like, but this is the thing. My dad.
See, you know that. That's just crazy.
You want to know why? Because I have a black father who's darker than him, and my dad will say the reason I'm so successful. My dad makes $250,000 a year as a director for Novartis, and he owns like 30 properties. So he doubles down on his money through that. He makes a lot of money every year, and the reason that he does it, he literally says, "Bro, I'm better at playing their game than they are." My dad has 2 voices, work voice and this voice.
Straight
the way
up.
he goes into meetings is this, and the way he goes into that is that. The way he is at home with us and the way he is with them is this. The way he is in front of them, and honestly, he's played the system for 30 years, and he's made his money. But what did he do to us was every single fucking day that he talked to me when I played college football, hey, Chase, so what are you going to do when football's over? Because you know it's going to end one day. Hey, man, so I know you had a good game the other day, so how'd you do in school? Because you know football's going to end one day. And he constantly shat on my dream the whole time I was there, and guess what? Football ended one day. And I was still focused on that shit because he was like, look, man, it's a white man's world. You just living in it. That's my dad's go-to saying. He'll call you and tell you that shit right now. And so it's one of those things where he taught us intentionally, yo, take advantage of this stuff. Yo, your mother is going to go to the school and meet with the teachers, and y'all going to have advantage because of that. Take advantage of that shit. Bro, field trips. Guess what? Guess who was the chaperone mom with all the fucking black kids? My white mom. Guess who never got in trouble on chaperones? My group.
Right.
Like, it was like, yo, it was like a given. Like, my dad was like, take advantage of it, bro. That's something that you got.
See, and there's like, and that's the successful black people in America. They have an understanding of white America.
They do.
They have an
No,
understanding,
they know.
and like, so my grandfather's really successful too, but his success wasn't so much from playing the white man's game. It's more so from being programmed more like a white man.
They fit in.
You know what I mean? So because of
They
that,
like having them around.
he had certain things, certain mentalities, certain things he thought of, certain ways he moved that were different. He was good with money, unlike his other black friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was good with saving. He was good with this. He was good with that because he was taught by different people.
Raised by them.
You know what I mean? He was brought up poor, but then when he started to see success, where did it come from? It came from the white people who were his authority, showing him how to stay in authority.
In order for him to stay there, he had to respect authority.
And here's the thing: is that the oppression starts to double down on us over and over and over, and we don't realize that we could flip that oppression and use it in a way to manifest, because everything is a manifestation. You get what you give. You are your vibration that you put out. So if we put out a vibration of oppression, we're gonna get nothing but oppression back all the time. But if we're putting out a vibration of knowledge of oppression, but we're pushing back the solution, that's a completely different manifestation that you're getting back. You feel me? So that's where, like, the mentality of black men. You say like, what is a solution? Where could we start? Like, where's a good foundation to start? I don't even think it starts with adults.
No,
It starts with implementing systems for people who are coming in.
absolutely.
For new people who are able to learn, because we're just part of the transition right now. You know what I mean? But we have to implement the black man's way, the white man's way.
Yeah, we just
and
the third leg of the 4x1, bro. We trying to get to
we gotta take all the best attributes of everybody, because we're all one, and we gotta figure out what all works and what all doesn't. And she's gonna be the one to figure out. We ain't figuring that shit out.
No.
Like she's gonna be the one to figure that out. But we had to be here in order to birth them, in order to birth that new generation. And everything is an evolution. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm just blessed to be a part of it. We get to have an influence on this shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We're here.
Oh.
Doing it.
What was your background, Ponce? Like before you started rapping, before you went to LA? Were you born in LA?
Yeah, I was born in LA. My mom from LA. My dad from West Virginia. So like, I ended up out there. My mom hated West Virginia, has her whole life. You know what I'm saying? I grew up like just like my mom. West Virginia is different. You know what I'm saying? I keep it G. Like it's that racism and all that stuff is real. I've experienced every bit of it. Been thrown in the cage, cuffed up. You know what I'm saying? Looked out the cage, watched my boy caged up, bleeding out. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see it all, and it's like coming from that to a point where it should never be normal. That shit is normal. The same way to like all my white friends. I grew up with hella white friends. You know what I'm saying? All my white friends, like to them, unfortunately, the shit that I went through, my other black friends went through, was normal to them. Feel me? So all this shit has been normal. So when all this happened to me, it's just like I get pissed off about this stuff. I'd be Jay's hear me arguing with somebody every other day because like it really hits me to the point where like yeah, I've experienced this shit my entire life. You know what I'm saying? I've literally had it, you know what I mean, beaten over me to the point where it's like, y'all just now open your eyes up to it. Even the friends that I have, like I had one dude I cussed out the other day. He talking about I've been a fan of yours since day one. And I'm like, I don't really give a fuck. I started making music forever ago, bro. Like this is now. This is reality.
Yeah,
like,
since this
like
shit.
if you're not hip to what's going on right now, it's crazy. Cause like once again, like I've experienced it all. Like last night I watched the Khalif Browder documentary. It's the first time I ever watched it. Probably like till 3 a.m. in the morning to see how you could take this 16-year-old kid, throw him in jail for 3 years, put him in Rikers, solitary confinement for 700 days. Starve this man, make him go crazy till he get out and commit suicide. Like this shit happens every day. You know what I'm saying? This is the type of stuff that happens when it's not talked about. This is the type of stuff that happens and I've been to places in Texas where I've experienced this on shows, my own performances, my own shows. Like this shit is nuts. It's literally nuts.
Yo,
and
like
if it's not spoke about, it's
being a college athlete. Like
it's crazy.
You go and play at the Rose Bowl, and you out with your boys that night, and the police harassing y'all until they find out y'all playing in the Rose Bowl, and then it's like all good all of a sudden. You're like, what the fuck just happened?
Bro, when
like
you
y'all
rap,
realize we play sports, all of a sudden y'all cool.
It be your own show and the cops. I've literally been told,
Arrested
listen,
your own
you
shit.
guys gotta go.
Yeah.
I be like, bro, I just got paid to come
Hey, do we need to talk about Scottsdale right now?
No.
Do we need to talk about Scottsdale right now?
My first night in Scottsdale, my boy said some shit to some girl. 5 minutes later, the cops got me, my brother, both our boys, all gunpoint on the, literally right in front of Bottle Blunt. I've never been to Scottsdale in my life.
Bruh.
Never in my life. Girl said he had a gun. Nigga, we 4 niggas in the club. He never been out here in my life.
Right.
All he did was try to holler at some girl. We ain't get questioned, nothing. We just thrown down, like embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
How many times y'all had to get out the car for just a routine stop?
For just nothing.
Hey, what did they pull you over for? We just doing routine stops. What the fuck does that even mean?
Yo, when you was telling the story about them taking your ID, you wasn't driving. How many times has that happened?
Man, or
Don't
was
you-
it?
you're
I'm
not
in
supposed to
the
be-
passenger. I'm in the passenger seat with my
I need all your
girlfriend.
guys' IDs.
I'm in my
Yeah.
I'm in the passenger seat with my girlfriend, 16 years old, white girl, high school, bro. She's driving my car. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
what I'm
Like she's
saying.
driving my car. We get pulled over. He asked for my ID.
That's the same
That's the
situation,
shit, bro. Yes.
It's just low key scary. Like that's why we are how we are. It's
How?
fucking
Well,
scary.
that's why this is all happening, is because everybody's finally seeing that
They're finally-
maybe
Yeah,
there is
you want to
something
know? I got a
wrong.
disorderly conduct ticket, right?
What?
I got kicked out. So I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm at a bar. I go in. It's like typical Wisconsin, right? But this bar, more white people usually at this bar, like without going into it too much. Go in there, me and my boys, we all chilling. So like you get in, first level's all chill, but to get up to the second floor, you gotta go past security again. So they're like making sure, monitoring floor numbers or whatever, however many people are up there. So I get up to the thing, and they're like, oh yeah, like, we're sorry, we can't let you up. I'm like, yeah, what's up, what's going on? Oh, well, you don't have a glass mug. That means you didn't purchase alcohol. So if you didn't buy a drink tonight, then you can't go upstairs. And I was like, well, I'll buy a drink, and I'll buy drinks from my friends, but I don't drink alcohol. I've never had alcohol in my life. So for me to have a glass, when you guys give plastic in Wisconsin for anything that's non-alcoholic, I'm never going to have a glass in my hand because I don't drink alcohol. Well, then I can't let you in, sir. And I'm like, so what's that all about? You're not going to let me in? because I don't drink alcohol. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So I like look at my guy and I'm like mad, like you know how it is. You start fuming. He's like, nah, man, let's just go. As soon as I step out the door, I got arrested. Got a disorderly conduct ticket. Went to court and fought it, and they basically told me fuck off. And it's like, didn't drink alcohol, didn't get in a fight, didn't get drug out
Very
of the bar,
respectful.
walked right out the fucking bar and got arrested. And it's
That's-
like, what's that all about? When does that ever happen to anybody who's not a colorful person?
No,
in this
exactly.
Country? Like, come on, man. Like, that's the type of shit that's like, that's why I get so hot. I don't go out. He knows I don't go out. I don't drink alcohol. You won't see me out.
Oh.
I don't tolerate that because as soon as I'm out and around people that are acting stupid and the police show up, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who else is there.
There's
I know
no
I'm in
point.
trouble.
No,
He's the biggest dude
exactly.
there,
Yeah,
6'5".
you look like trouble.
He's causing problems if anybody's causing problems.
It looks are everything to them. All you gotta do is look like you fit the description. I just said earlier, man, on some crazy, just on some fit the description. When I was younger, lived in LA, my dad got picked up by the LAPD. They said they picked him up, like they said he got picked up for rape, trashed our house and everything. Dropped him off 3 days later, said he fit the description. It wasn't him. It was some guy in blue overalls. So it's like, this has been going on forever. You know what I'm saying? They literally arrested my dad, trashed our entire house, and then let him out days later and say, oh, well, you fit the description, but it wasn't you. But what can, when it's like us as black people, like, what can you even do in your power to even go,
Hey,
what can you really do?
between cops who don't know any better, you, him, and I are the same description.
Right? It don't even matter.
Exactly.
You got facial hair
Exactly.
and you dark skin.
We all the
game
same
over.
description.
Don't even matter.
That's part of the issue. That's part of the issue.
Bro.
Do you think that kids in the Black community should look up to certain people, or should people start focusing more on themselves instead of role models and influencers?
Black community needs both of that. It needs leaders and it needs people to want to be better for themselves at the same time. And honestly, one's not gonna we need both. Like
We need
people.
real leaders.
We need people who are gonna speak up and go in and actually change people in those neighborhoods for the better.
Inky
and then we need
Johnson,
those
dude.
people to.
Inky Johnson's
buy
the
in.
man, like it basically describing what his experience is, but then also letting people know that we're not all alike. And so, yeah, some people are going to leave the football field because they might have a family member who owns a business. They're going to be covered. But so he would stay hours later so that he could do better. And so my mom was a drug addict. My dad was a horrible, horrible person. And so I just stuck with animals and school. That's like what I loved because I got bullied by black kids and I hung out with like the white kids, but my mom wasn't going to let me stay the night at white boy's house. And when I did my first sleepover, the mom accused me of stealing something, which I am
Facts.
so against like stealing in the first place. So like I cried a
crazy.
lot and then I just decided I was going to hang out with animals and do my thing. But so that being said, I started not watching or paying attention to people that were authority or were influencers that were positive. And I'm just now getting into Inky Johnson since Corona started. That was months ago. But just because when I woke up, it started getting me into the right headspace to start running a business, to start thinking that, you know what, I can do this. I can use my voice. I don't have to not talk to people and think that I'm going to say the wrong thing. But I think like it's up to us to at least sway these children that are using Instagram for, you know, calling people out on being racist or different things. But yeah, you're right. Like we need to step up for our kids. So does your daughter have an Instagram or anything like that?
No, she doesn't have Instagram. She has a TikTok. That's about it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I would let her get like an Instagram or like something like that.
Yeah.
Just quite yet.
Yeah.
But I do think that influencers and that role models are definitely needed. I think that a lot of our false influencers and role models who were kind of like the patina of what a role model should be, but not the core of what it should be, they're getting swept out.
I think it's because the influence, it's all based around money now. It's not really based on
It's
what's
products.
good for you.
Products
You know
and
what I'm
money.
saying? It's just like, I don't even know what they just said.
He said patina. I said that's a good vocab choice. I like that.
Y'all niggas is crazy.
That's how you know you got masters and shit.
For real, right? Nah, but that's for real though. Like,
No,
it's like not everything's core value right now. Like a lot of things is just like surface, and yeah, I think it's just having leaders that are going to be more from the core as opposed to like you saying, like just throw a donation out when something's.
I think one of the biggest things right now, I think the black community in America, could be better in how we go about treating each other. But I also think, and I mean this full-heartedly, I don't think, I wouldn't point fingers at us. The biggest changes that I've seen throughout all of these last few months of just the way stuff's been happening, it's when the white people that were wrong, that know they were wrong, speak up. They do more than anybody who goes into the neighborhood to mentor somebody. Because what they do is change the perspective of their peers, which changes the perspective of how those people treat the black people that they're around,
Absolutely.
which changes the perspective of how those people feel about themselves, which in turn, they're not gonna act that way towards each other. And to me, I've seen nothing but, I have a few cousins that they came out on Facebook and they were like, yo, when Colin Kaepernick took a knee, I was completely against it. And they went and wrote the whole fucking thing out. I hated it. This is why I hated it. This is what I was mad about. This is why I was mad about it. This is my brother in the military that I use as a reason. And they went and explained it all. And then they said, and the fact that I've had to watch all of this shit happening on the media over the last few weeks and get proved wrong time and time again, I feel worse now than I've ever felt, because that's something that I fought so hard for something that I should have just been like, he's right.
They didn't even know.
Or
they were
just
blindly
don't even
And
speak
so,
on it until you know.
and that's the thing, is that she basically was speaking up about, I was wrong and I know I was wrong, but that response,
It's beautiful.
that's the validation that black people need. We're standing up for ourselves and we're right to do so.
Right.
That's important. And it's important to hear that from the people that are oppressing you more than anything, is that they believe that you need that too. Because we all don't want to kill each other. We're all in competition because shit's scarce on our side of the woods. That's why we're in competition. And so that's why we act this way. That's why I don't want him to win, because I want the deal, because if he gets the deal, I don't get the deal. But they're not going to get two of us out the same hood.
Right.
That's for sure.
That's exactly how.
And so what's
Exactly
going to
how it
happen is he, in his racism, only wants that guy. Because that guy's going to be a fucking fool, and he'll listen to everything I say.
So now we got to compete.
So now we got to compete to get his attention. And what do we got to do? Act like niggas, for simply lack of a better term.
No.
And that's where, for me, the difference really comes when you see the people who are in the positions of power in this country, which are the white people. They're speaking up and they're saying, yo, we were wrong. This is why we were wrong. And we're sorry about that. And anybody else who's in my circle feels that way, go ahead and let us know too. Because that's when you get true change starting to happen. For real. At least for me. So that's when I see the biggest differences.
I agree.
And then last question. Do you guys think that marijuana is going to be legalized this year in Arizona?
I think Arizona's got another 2 years.
Yeah.
Again?
I think
That's what they said 2 years ago.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
the truth
everybody's
is, so
saying.
the way I view it is that they changed the law to a 2-year renewal because they're not going to fight for it again for another 2 years, is the way I view it, to be honest with you. Everyone who has a current MMJ card is good for the next 2 years. Let's give them 2 years to chill.
Yeah.
That's kind of how my mind works on politics. If they set stuff and you see it, they do it on purpose.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's it's a part of the plan. And as far as police reform goes, do you guys think that that's a good thing or bad thing? Do you guys think it needs a
It's
reset?
always a good thing.
Yeah, police
thing.
reform.
Need
Police
change.
reform is a good thing, but I definitely think we need some leaders and experts in there to create these new programs, create these new training systems and facilities. I always think, for some reason, I always think to that, I don't know if y'all remember Men in Black back in the day, the scene where Will Smith goes in and he's trying out for the Men in Black and all that stuff. I always think about that moment in a police institution and how they're going through these things and you know how they put the little girl holding a book in the middle of the shit and he shoots her and shit. I think about
They
what
put
kind
a
of
black man in the middle.
yeah, and they put a black man in the middle shooting. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, and that makes me think how are these training programs created and how are they ran? Because we're showing programming in the movies in a metaphorical way, You know what I'm saying? Like, what's happening in real life? Like, what's really going on? Like, what makes George Zimmerman want to follow Trayvon Martin and start all that shit? Like, what is it? Like, he was training to be a police officer. He had failed like what 6 times or something to become a cop.
You're like, watch me, I'm gonna be
That
a vigilante today.
That nigga's over. Like, we gotta study people like that because he's pounded that training in his head, and he's the prime example of it. So that's the correlations I'm making. That I think that, like, I don't know if everyone's putting those things together, but I'm just like, man, where's the foundation of this shit? Because someone who's not even allowed in the police academy was trained like a policeman to be fearful in the same way, shape, and form of the policeman. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this nigga has not even been able, this gentleman has not even been able to pass this police test 5 times. Like, just don't make any
that
sense
shit
to me.
crazy.
You know what I mean?
That whole story was crazy.
Like, what the hell?
They all crazy. Every story.
How old was
crazy.
Trayvon? Like
Another
16?
15, 16 year old. Yeah.
15, something like that.
Like, come on, bro.
Young.
Damn.
Young.
What do you think about police reform?
I think it's not far enough, but conversation more to listen. But I've been listening a lot more to like police and prison abolitionists, like I was saying before.
Right.
So I feel like the 8 can't wait, that's not far enough. That cuts out 72% of violence, they're saying. Okay, what about the other 28%? Like, why are we not going towards, like, when slavery was going to be abolished, everyone thought that was impossible because so much shit ran on that. So it's like undoing our mentality around policing and putting people in prison. Like, most of the time, what does putting someone in prison do? Like, there's some times where it keeps people safe, but a lot of the time it's about
Should be
revenge.
rehabilitation,
But, like,
not
what does
prison.
that do? Exactly.
Yeah,
That's,
not-
and that is once again, you said America's a business. Prison
We
is
live
a
in an
big-ass
eye for eye
business.
country.
Yes.
It-
We live in an eye for eye
Money.
country. We don't live in
Privately
no
owned-
fairness
privately
here.
owned
Ain't no
prisons?
reform here. Here it's
that's-
all about you shoot at us, we're gonna bomb you. If you do something wrong, you can get locked up for your life. There's no about reform. We don't want you to be a better
And
person. We're gonna
slavery,
punish you.
like with the slavery thing, I still feel like there's no real, like, I mean, I guess you can't say there's different. We can work, we can do this, but there's no real difference when half the population is in cells where they can't move, and then the other population that's out of cells, they put on an ankle bracelet and say you still can't move nowhere. So like, what is the difference of slavery now and then? You know what I'm saying? When you really break it down, what's
Yeah,
the
it's just
difference?
covered up. It's just,
Well,
it's just
basically
it's-
the only way you ain't a slave is if you buy into the system, and then you can go and work for one of their companies. It's that simple.
You gotta have money. You don't have that money, then you.
Or go work on the
They'll
streets and
never
dodge the
get
system.
that.
That's your life.
It's that stuff that's why they almost took Kanye out.
Yeah,
For
Kanye,
buying all that land. Like,
Kanye was
Yeah,
doing
man.
everything they didn't want him to. Kanye basically was like, I'm gonna join y'all team for a little bit, get ahead, and then I'm out.
and then I'm out. Like, I think he's another great example of just like black man with a white mentality. Like, almost like Floyd Mayweather. Like, think of how that boy carries himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the richest men.
Well, nah, man, they like, listen. We've always had our Cassius Clay, bro.
Right.
We
Exactly.
need to have those guys. They're not gonna
Absolutely.
get rid of all of them, bro. Come on,
They
man.
can't.
You gotta
They
have
can't.
somebody loud in the
And the
mic
spirit
doing
lives
all the
on.
shit,
Pac's
so that
spirit
you
lives
think
on.
you can do it too.
Straight up. Pac's spirit lives on though, like, you know what I mean? And
Facts.
that mentality, like even just like Mamba mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like that spirit of things, like that shit's always gonna live on, man, and we're able to carry that and evolve it and take it to the next level. So
100% energy. It's the energy live on. 1000%.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything like last minute to say? Do you guys have any?
follow me on MySpace. Sincerely
Bro, this is crazy. I just say educate yourselves. I tell everybody to educate themselves because, you know what I'm saying, what we're taught isn't exactly what we need. We're not really given the resources. We're not handed the resources. You know what I'm saying? And it gets to a certain point in life. Once you get to a certain point, say maybe you're not in school, you're not working, there's nobody to educate you. You know what I'm saying? So you really just taking whatever bullshit is represented to you from the TV or whatever the case. So it's just important to educate yourself, really do your research, know what the hell is going on in the world.
Definitely education. Now I'd echo that. I think that I tell him this all the time. He always tells me I'm so smart because I got a couple degrees and stuff, and I did well. But it's like really the biggest thing about a college education is that it teaches you how to teach yourself. And nobody understands that. It's like they struggle with classes and stuff. It's so hard. Like, no, it's not hard. What they're trying to teach you is how to do it. Once you know how to do it, it's easy. That's the point. So it's like you go to school and school gets harder because you're learning how to do harder shit. It's that simple. So like when you go to grad school, it's like, yeah, it was hard, but I did good because I applied myself. Therefore, I still use that stuff as I move forward. But what I also do is now have the knowledge of knowing the power of teaching myself things. And when I'm struggling and I'm trying to learn something, probably for the better. And so just like he said, if you're not educating yourself, you're stuck. You're completely stuck. And you're falling behind, and what's happening is you're thinking that you know everything and that everything that you know is enough.
And I've been there before. That's why I
Never.
said
It's
definitely
never
been to that
enough.
point where
It's
I'm
not.
like,
And so
go
if
backwards.
anything, just like he said, learn. And if you're not comfortable going to college, because that's not for everybody, do what you need to do. Like, there's people who have never went in a classroom in their whole fucking life and they're famous. There's people who have graduated with a PhD and done nothing. It does not mean anything. All it means is you need to learn how to learn the way you learn and continually do that. So I would definitely echo that, if anything. Go out and educate yourself.
One thing that I would say, I'm just going to get back to my foundation, which is spirituality. And I would just say that, like, there's a universe inside of everybody. And so it's up to you. Like, it starts with you. You have to change everything in yourself. You have to change what's inside of you before you're going to see what's around you change. So that's if there's anything I would leave people with, it's that, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to change anything until you change yourself. Like, look for the impurities in yourself and clean those up, and watch the world around you change.
Do you have anything to say, Elise?
I would say, I think to white people, because that's who I feel like I can talk to, is do the work and take your ego out of the equation. Like, educate yourself, like you were saying. But I think white people do struggle against it. They're like, no, that's not me. I'm not racist. But if you take your ego out of the equation and actually just listen to what the theory says and to what the news said, or maybe not the news, but to what people are saying, to what, like, there's so many shows about it. Like, even
There's
I've
a
been just
racism
watching-
quiz now that you
Yeah.
can take online.
Great show,
Yes.
Dear White People on
I've been
Netflix.
watching Dear White
Man,
People.
listen, as biracial, that show walks my whole life right down the line. That's a great show. Dear White People is a great show.
Dear white people.
It's a great show.
Some of it's a little
my shit was
campy,
like, get out.
Yeah,
but it's a really good
it's
show.
It hits a lot of that stuff that you're like, the stuff that has made me feel uneasy in life. That show.
So your life was
Bring it
like,
right
they're
back.
white people. My shit was like, get out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Two opposites.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to Project Earthling. I hope that somebody has taken something from this. If you guys want to catch it again, it'll be on YouTube. Yeah,
This is a vibe.
that's a wrap.
Now next time we just gotta roll one.
Yeah, hey, yeah. Next time.